What was your class like this year?
Well, at the beginning of the year, the kids were a little wild, to say the least. And I'd have to say that by the end of the year, they calmed down a bit, and they learned about respect, respecting other teachers, and especially important other kids.
What were some of the highlights of the year for you?
I have to tell you what happened the last day of class. One of the kids in my class felt really bad because she hadn't gotten me a present for the end of the year. So she ran back into class and she grabbed a scrap piece of paper and she made up her own little card. And on the front, inside the card, it said, "Dear Miss Bills, I feel really bad about not getting you a present, and this is all I have." She told me to look on the back, but don't tip it over. So I looked on the back, and what she had gone and done is she had taped a bag of potato chips that she had gotten in her lunch, and she'd eaten about 3/4 of them. There was about 5 potato chips left at the bottom of the bag, and she gave that to me, and that was really special because that was the one thing that she had, and she decided to give it up.
Okay. What advice would you give your children as they go into grade 5?
Well, I would tell them to remember to think for themselves and to behave.
Anything else about anything else?
No, I've really enjoyed my first year here. The kids were great. The staff is fantastic. It was a lot of hard work, but it was rewarding.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Fun class this year. We started off with 25 students and only one left. So I had the opportunity to enjoy them all year. 24 kids from beginning to end. Not very often you get something like that. It was fun.
What were the highlights of the year for you?
Highlights. I had quite a few highlights. I really did enjoy the few of the students that went to the dinosaur show. That was fun. And I also enjoyed the field trip. Field trips are always fun.
Can you remember your class at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, small people. I thought, goodness, I just finished a class of grade 4 that had gone through, and the people that came up were small, and they had to learn everything right from the beginning again. How you operate in grade 4 and what is basically expected of them. Yeah, they were pretty different.
What advice would you give your children for next year?
Be responsible. The choices that you make next year will follow you. And just do your work. Do your best at all times.
This was fantastic. They always came into school talking about how much they really hated school. But judging from the attendance record this year, I'm sure that there were lots of things that they wanted to come to school for.
What were some of the highlights of the year for you?
Well, some of the things that I remember were little things like David winning first place in the county for his essay, Jesse and his little antics, and Corey, Zane jumping out of trees and hurting his leg, and that was some tough kid. Just generally being with a bunch of super kids.
Yeah. Can you remember what they were like in September?
Well, when they came in September, they were all in awe of having a locker and being able to stay in at recess time and house leagues, and a little bit timid. And to watch them grow from being tiny little grade 3s to being grade 4s is just a real exciting experience.
Yeah. Any advice for them as they go into grade 5?
Just really work hard and stay off those homework sheets. I just want them to know that they have fond memories, that I have fond memories of them, and that I just hope that they have a really super year next year.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
It went so quickly, the kids grew up so fast, and I'm really going to miss the ones that went on to grade 7 this year because I've known them for the last 5 years.
Were there any special highlights of the year?
Highlights of the year for me are always when the kids find a good author or a good book and I get to hear about it.
What advice can you give to the kids as they go into the next year?
Oh, to keep looking for that special book and that special author and the special lift that reading will always give you throughout your life.
It was a really nice year. We had a good time.
Well, I think it went very well, from my point of view anyway. It was a quick year. We seemed to be so busy here in the office with the 400 students that it goes quite quickly. We just go from one set of testing or whatever the office is doing at that particular moment right on to something else. There's never a lull.
It was a very busy year, and I found it quite a long year in that I was looking forward to retirement, and I knew that that was going to happen at the end.
Were there any highlights of the year that you can remember?
There were many highlights, and I suppose particularly because it was my last year, I found the time with the children and the students very precious.
What advice would you give to them as they go into the next year?
I think always I would ask children to be kind to themselves and kind to each other, to remember that they are special and they are precious.
Anything else?
And I would like to say thank you to all my colleagues throughout the years for being good to me.
For you?
It was a really good year. I enjoyed it.
Were there any highlights of the year that you remember?
Well, I think the most exciting thing that happened for me this year was getting Peter so comfortable in the water he's learning to swim. He was floating by himself this year. Big steps.
Any advice you can give to the children as they go into the next year?
Just hang in there and keep a positive attitude.
It was one of changes. I taught a lot at high school and Elmer Elson. It was a good year and positive one, I think.
And any special highlights that you remember?
Finally getting to come back and substitute teach at Elmer Elson after a really long time. It was a different highlight.
Any advice you could give to the children as they go into their next year?
To look at the change as a positive one, to work the best they can do. You've got a great school here, and keep working hard, definitely. Kids that I taught, thanks heaps, it was a slice. It was a good time, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great.
Quite a few years ago, actually 1975-76, some grade 6 students started to research the old one-room country schools that were pretty well all closed at that time. They were interested in how school was in the olden days. And so they talked to teachers, they went to visit some of the old schools, and they spent a lot of time researching the whole idea. And of course, this book was the result of all their work. The book was sold, and the money that we received from the sale of the book went into a fund, which we wondered, what should we do with it? Grade 6s had done the work, and so we, of course, decided, okay, we should start awarding some of the work of some of the grade 6s, the ones who are good citizens, good athletes, and good scholars. And so, of course, the Heritage Awards evolved from that.
think our grade 5 class had a terrific year. Early in September, we elected a class council who planned and organized activities for our school year. One of the things that I thought was really neat is we had pen pals from Jamaica. We sent them letters and parcels, and we learned a great deal about the children in Jamaica. Another great highlight was the camp out in June, where we went out to Carson Pegasus Lake. We had a terrific time. The weather was great, and the students were just wonderful. I think as the year goes by, I feel really sad that I see my students leave me. On the other hand, I'm really happy that they're on their educational journey. Also, I think my advice to my students would be that they should set themselves some goals and work really, really hard towards them. I'd like to wish everyone a safe and happy holiday.
Class like this year?
I had a really great class this year. I think it's the first year, though, that I started out with 29 students and ended up with 23. I've never had that many leave during a year. It was a good year because I had a nephew of mine in my class, and also one of my cousin's daughters, Laura Henning and Ryan Lister. The students were really neat to work with, creative and fun to be with.
Any special highlights you remember?
I had Tammy McKeever in as doing her practicum with us, and that was a lot of fun. She's a neat girl to work with. And I also received my 20-year service ring from the county. So those are two highlights.
Can you remember your class at the beginning of September?
Yes, I can. At the beginning of September, they were kind of shy and kind of quiet, and took a while to get to know some of them.
What advice would you give to them as they go into grade 6?
I think the main thing for them is to always try to do the best they can do at things. Some of them tend to rush and not do the very best job they can do. I don't think they realize their abilities.
Anything else about anything else at all?
No, I think we had a really super good outdoor ed this year. The parents we had were very supportive of the groups, and we had just a great time out at Bussard Lake.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a great school year for me. Most of the students in my class were students I had been working with for many years, so we knew each other quite well. And as a result, the environment in our classroom was very positive and cooperative. Towards the end of the year, there were many changes for us to get used to. 3 students were changing schools by going over to the junior high next year. 1 student was changing towns, moving away and leaving us, and I changed my name in June. There's a lot of great memories from the class of 93. The students, I had 2 boys playing in the grade 6 hockey game, and that was a big highlight for them to win against the teachers. Another highlight was saying goodbye and having them graduate from the program and moving on to a new school. If I could give students advice, it would be to believe in yourself. Give things a try before you say I can't. If you believe in yourself, there's a lot of things you'll accomplish. Thank you, students of Elmer Elson, for a great year.